Hello, this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Let's get started. I'm using soft suede, soft succulent, polished pink ink. Bring these. I'm going to be using Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. Pansy dies, potted succulent dies for the label, pansy patch for part of the sentiment. I just used this part of it. I actually cut my stamp, but you can just mask it. And then why is it why am I putting it upside down? Okay, there you go. And then I'm using this stamp here from Natural Textures. Okay, so we've got all those. I already cut everything out, or most everything, so that would be easier. I have a 3 1/8 by 4 1/4 inch piece of early espresso. I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of white, which I'm going to run through the embossing folder. And my card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Now these are just to show you I used a 1/4 sheet of Blushing Bride. Just like that, to cut out all my pieces. Like a 1 inch square of black, and a 1 by 5 1/4 inch piece of soft seafoam. Okay. Now I have a scrap of white to stamp my sentiment on, and then I'm going to die cut it out with this, and then we'll cut off one end. I'm going to put this over here so I don't lose it. I've already die cut this out of the Blushing Bride using this die, which is the Stitch So Sweetly dies. From the Blushing Bride, from the Pansy dies, I cut one of these, 2 of these, 1 of each of these. Well, these got all messed up. I cut 1 of this one. I ran this one through, it cuts 3, I only really need 1 of them. The smaller leaf I cut 2, the larger leaf I cut 2, and this one out of black I cut 1. Okay? Well, first thing I'm going to do, bring in a piece of scratch paper. I'm going to bring in this piece. And this needs to go into here and get run through there. Alright, so I'm going to bring in the soft suede ink. Let's move these out of the way. And first let's do the sentiment. Just stamp that. Put that aside so I can die cut that out. And I'm going to bring in this stamp here, and I'm going to stamp it randomly on the front of this piece to give myself some texture. So I'm going to start like here in the middle, and it's a large stamp, so it probably would be smart to bring in a foam mat. Stamp a little bit randomly all over the place here. Like that. Okay. We're done with this ink. Put put it away. All right, and let's bring in that die. I'm going to line this up so that the pointy thing is pretty close to the sentiment. And I'm going to go run that through my machine along with this embossing folder with the white. If you don't want to add that layer, like on this card, I just did it on the front of my card. But it's kind of tricky running it through. It's much easier to do it on a separate sheet. Okay, so I will be right back after I die cut this and run this through the embossing folder. Okay, I'm back. I've got those cut out. So I've got this stamped and this cut out. Let's go ahead and mount this onto the 3 1/8 by 4 1/4 inch piece of early espresso. And the reason I came up with that measurement is because I wanted an equal amount around this die, so that's what it turned out to be. Oops, come on. There we go. Alright, let's put that aside for a minute with our sentiment so I don't lose it. Okay, now I'm going to bring in a sponge dauber. I want one for the pink and I want one for the green. Okay, and I'm going to bring in these pieces and a bone folder, and I'm going to curl these a little bit. See, I think I curled them up, didn't I? Yeah, I curled them this way. Okay, and these ones, curl them up a little bit. Curl this part down a little bit. Oh, I lost a piece. Okay, and I did the same thing with the leaves, and I lost one of my leaves. I'm knocking things off with my sleeves. There it is. Okay. Whew. I'm just kind of giving them a little bit of something. A little curve, a little dimension. No right or wrong. You can leave them flat. That'll work fine too. Stay there a little bit. No, stay. Okay, come on. Get it. Give her a ball of paper and him. Alright, now I'm going to bring in the soft succulent for the leaves and the polished pink for the flowers. So I'm going to stamp, inking that up into the ink. I'm just going to, on this one I'm going to do like the whole over the top of it. So it's going to be toned, but on these I'm just going to go around the edges. I'm just taking that sponge and flicking on the color around the edges. Go get it. pile of junk papers. And I have to go around and find and retrieve when I'm done with this. Okay, then the pink one. I'm going to do the polished pink. The same thing. I'm just going to flick around the edges. Stay. Okay, excuse me. I'm gonna put her away. A little bit changed its mind. Well, certainly makes it difficult to concentrate when I'm fighting with a cat to keep out of the camera. Okay, so I got all those inked. Go ahead and put this away. Put these away so I don't lose them. Alright, now we can assemble this card. So I'm going to bring in these pieces. I need this, and I need one of these yellow ones. Move these off the table. Let's go ahead and mount this to the front of our card, the piece that we embossed. Okay, and this piece is going to get dimensionals on the back of it. Excuse me. Alright, so that didn't work so well, but it's alright. Keep her occupied a few minutes longer. Alright. Let's see. I think I want it to be this way. We're going to center that right in the center. Okay, now we're going to assemble our pansies. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the tips here. We're going to overlap these like this. And this piece is going to go on top of it where we want them to be. Like that, I guess. Okay, then this piece, beard, gets glued on. They cut out really easy, I have to say. And then this little yellow piece will get glued right here in the center. Oops. It's like a teardrop or something. Okay, let's turn this over. Put some dimensionals on the back of it. Put one right in the center to hold everything together. As you can see, I had a piece of scrap paper that I punched those out of. Alright, this is going to go right here, so let's go ahead and mount that. Or put it lightly anyway, so that I can still slide leaves underneath it. Okay, let's put together this one. I've got these pieces here. This one's just going to get mounted on top of the other one. These bottom edges will match up. And this piece here. I just have put glue on those little tips. It sets on top of that. Like that. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this down. Such a stink pot. Okay, and then we'll bring in our leaves. This one I'm going to put a dimensional under. That's going to go right here. This other big one we'll put up here. Probably could have done 3 small ones, but worked out doing it this way. Down under here. Make sure those are all down. Okay, now I'm going to come in with the sentiment and a pair of snips. I'm going to snip this off because I don't need most of that. And we're going to tuck that in here like that. First, I'm going to curve it a little bit. Okay, bring in a dimensional. And I put the dimensional in the center. Put a little bit of glue here on this tip and a little bit of glue on this tip. And we're going to tuck that in there. Oops, I got to take the back off this dimensional. Tuck that in there sideways like this. And under the leaf. There you go. And there's our card. There's the one I did previously. Now this one has that extra layer, so it's a little bit more sturdy. This one I embossed directly onto the card itself. It's lighter, so it would cost less postage probably. And there you go. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.